We often speak of growth as a journey, a climb, a path to self-improvement. We imagine it as an ascent, fueled by ambition and the promise of a better future. Yet for many, the very idea of progress is met with an invisible, profound resistance. This resistance is not a lack of desire or a failure of will. It is a fundamental, deeply ingrained response from the most ancient parts of our being. It is the brain's primal interpretation of what it means to step into the unknown. Consider the moments just before a significant change, the quiet stillness that precedes action. The individual poised on the precipice, ready to move, yet held back by an unseen force. This hesitation is not merely doubt. It is a complex neurological signal, a warning. The brain, in its infinite wisdom, perceives growth, not as motivation, but as exposure. It sees vulnerability. It registers the potential for judgment, for failure, for being seen and tested. This is the core of the internal struggle. To grow is to step beyond the familiar boundaries of comfort and predictability. It is to invite scrutiny, both from within and from the world outside. This act of stepping forward is inherently an act of exposure. The brain, wired for survival, interprets exposure as a threat. It is a departure from the safe, the known, the predictable patterns that have ensured our existence. This is why the path to progress often feels like navigating a minefield. Every step forward, every new challenge embraced, increases the internal tension. The body tightens, the breath shallows, the eyes scan for exits. This is the brain's alarm system, signaling potential danger. Conversely, stepping back, retreating to the familiar, brings an immediate, palpable sense of relief. The tension dissipates, the body relaxes. This cycle reinforces the brain's perception. Safety lies in stasis. This dynamic creates a powerful, often subconscious loop. The desire for growth pulls us forward, while the brain's protective mechanisms urge us to retreat. It is a constant push and pull, a silent battle waged within. Our brains evolved to prioritize survival above all else. In ancient times, venturing into new territory meant encountering unknown predators or hostile environments. The unfamiliar was synonymous with danger. This primal logic persists even in our modern world. The brain struggles to differentiate between a physical threat and a psychological one. Public speaking, a new career, a challenging relationship, these are all forms of exposure. They represent a departure from the established order, a potential for social rejection or personal failure. To the brain, these are risks that must be mitigated, often by avoiding the situation altogether. This is why motivation often feels like a quiet ember rather than a roaring fire. It is an internal, restrained impulse, imperfect and easily overshadowed by the brain's protective instincts. True progress, then, does not begin with a surge of confidence or an explosion of hype. It begins with a quiet, often uncomfortable tolerance for this inherent discomfort. It is the willingness to sit with the feeling of exposure. The journey of growth is rarely marked by grand, triumphant gestures. Instead, it is characterized by slow, imperfect, and cautious movements. Fear remains a constant companion, a subtle hum beneath the surface. There are no rousing speeches, no sudden epiphanies that erase all doubt. There are no victory moments that signify the end of the struggle. The process is far more nuanced, far more human. It is in the subtle shifts, the almost imperceptible changes in posture, in breath, in gaze. It is in the moments of hesitation that are overcome, not with brute force, but with quiet persistence. The brain's resistance does not vanish overnight. It is a deeply ingrained pattern, a protective reflex. Overcoming it is not about eliminating fear, but about learning to move forward despite its presence. This requires a profound acceptance of imperfection. It means acknowledging fatigue, embracing silence, and understanding that not every action will be completed with flawless execution. The purpose here is not to command action, but to guide awareness, to illuminate the subtle mechanisms at play within us, to understand that the struggle is not a personal failing, but a universal human experience. The brain's perception of growth as exposure is a testament to its ancient wiring. It is a system designed to keep us safe, even if that safety comes at the cost of our potential. By recognizing this fundamental dynamic, we can begin to approach growth with a new understanding. We can learn to differentiate between genuine threat and perceived exposure. We can cultivate a gentle persistence, a quiet determination that acknowledges the brain's warnings without being entirely governed by them. This is the path to true, sustainable progress. It is a path that embraces the discomfort, that tolerates the vulnerability. It is a journey of small, deliberate steps, each one a quiet act of defiance against the brain's protective instincts. The conclusion of this journey is not a final triumph, a moment where all challenges cease. It is instead a continuous forward movement, an ongoing acceptance of discomfort as an inherent part of growth. The brain will likely always register new experiences as a form of exposure. The goal is not to silence this signal, but to reframe our response to it, to understand its origin and its purpose. To move forward, not because the fear has vanished, but because the desire to grow has become stronger than the instinct to retreat. This is the quiet strength that defines true progress. It is the understanding that growth is not about the absence of fear, but the presence of courage in its face. It is the continuous, imperfect act of stepping into the light, knowing that exposure is simply part of the process.